Hello and thanks for joining us for today's video. We just want to tell you that we're always looking for new cases to cover. This includes cases for our other channel, Paranormally Listed, and our podcast, Into the Killing. For Paranormally Listed, we want to hear about strange and supernatural stories or mysteries that can't be explained. This includes your own possible experiences with the supernatural. As for Into the Killing, we're looking for cold cases that were eventually solved. To suggest a case, please visit our website, criminallylisted.com, and go to the Suggest a Case page. Before we go any further, I just want to talk about our amazing sponsor, Magellan TV. I know one of the most popular topics on this channel is kids who kill their families. So if you find those videos interesting, you definitely have to check out A Quiet Boy on Magellan TV. It's a disturbing documentary about 16-year-old Don Steenkamp who killed his family. I don't want to say too much about the documentary and spoil it, but needless to say, this documentary will shock and probably disgust you as well. A Quiet Boy is just one of over 3,000 documentaries available on Magellan TV, and 20 hours of new material is added every week. Magellan TV is also a great deal compared to other streaming services. There's a good reason it's often described as a hidden gem. If you haven't already subscribed to Magellan TV, you should check it out today because they have a great deal for criminally listed viewers. They're offering our viewers 30 days of free service. To get this amazing offer, just go to try.magellantv.com/criminallylisted. So please check out Magellan TV today because you'll find something great to watch and you'll be supporting Criminally Listed in the process. Number 3. Frank Umbrello. In the mid-2000s, Frank Umbrello was a Canadian con man living in the Sydney, Australia suburb of Ashfield. The 36-year-old man ran an eBay scheme where he'd sell items and then alter the checks that were sent to him. In one instance, a buyer sent him a $13 check for a roll of lace. Umbrello changed the check to $1,350. Another time, a $26 check from someone buying a 1936 penny became $2,642. In most cases, Umbrello did not send the product to the buyer. Umbrello also stole his neighbor's mail and assumed their identity to apply for credit cards. He set up transfers to himself, stealing about $18,500 from the credit cards. In September 2007, Umbrello was arrested on fraud charges. However, he failed to show up for his court appearance. In 2008, Umbrello continued his fraudulent schemes. In March 2008, he climbed onto the roof of a home he rented. On the roof, he found an expired passport of a former tenant. He put his picture on the passport and applied for credit cards under the tenant's name. Once he successfully secured the credit cards, he racked up thousands of dollars in gambling debts. In September 2008, Umbrello was expected to appear in court for fraud charges. Except he didn't show up for a second time. In a strange twist, a fax was sent to the authorities saying that Frank Umbrello had died by suicide. According to the fax, Umbrello was distraught over the death of his mother. The police quickly investigated and they found Umbrello at home, alive and well. He pleaded guilty to 5 charges of credit card and bank account fraud. The total amount he stole was close to $30,000. He was sentenced to 18 months in prison with a 9-month parole period. Umbrello successfully appealed the sentence and he was allowed to serve 6 months at home. Number 2. Aaron Travis Beiard. Aaron Travis Beiard was a married father of 3 living in Enumclaw, Washington. He worked for Team Financial Partners as an insurance salesman. Beiard sold high-premium life insurance and annuities to his friends and family. He was a leader in his church and he sold low-risk investment policies to his congregation. They trusted him to protect their savings and secure their retirement. Except, Beiard wasn't honest with his credentials. While he did have a license, he wasn't registered with the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, 2 government bodies that protect investors. He also had dropped out of college before graduating. By the early 2000s, Beiard started skimming money from policies purchased by friends and family. He concealed his crimes by doctoring account statements and routing correspondence from insurance companies to a private mailbox he owned. Beiard kept his deception going for about a decade. In 2011, Beiard, now 38, with multiple failed business ventures, had to come up with more cash. A desperate Beiard secretly pulled out $500,000 from one client's retirement funds to buy a life insurance policy for that client. On April 30, 2012, a few months after setting up the policy, Beiard forged a claim saying the policyholder had died of acute cardiopulmonary arrest. The insurance company checked the policyholder's status and learned he was alive. But Beiard had already been given the money and he invested in Ideal Ventures LP, a company he controlled. His managers at Team Financial Partners confronted him about the money. Beiard admitted to scamming the insurance company. Knowing he was in serious trouble, Beiard disappeared on June 21, 2011. Beiard's car was found 2 days later near a bridge at Deception Pass, a strait separating Whidbey Island from Fidalgo Island in northwest Washington. In the car was a note in which he claims he plans to jump off the bridge. He even sent the same note to the victims of his scams. He signed it, Travis the Scam Man. In actuality, Beiard took a taxi to Seattle's SeaTac Airport and boarded a plane to Scotland. But he didn't stay dead for very long. He returned to Washington a week later and he was arrested as he departed the airplane. Beiard confessed everything to the FBI, who had recently started investigating him. He was charged with wire fraud, filing a fraudulent death claim, and falsely representing a life insurance policy. It was reported that Beiard stole about $2 million to $5.7 million from his clients. Those funds went to other business ventures that eventually failed. In August 2012, Beiard pleaded guilty to all his crimes. He was sentenced to 7 years of prison, 3 years of supervised release, and he was ordered to pay back his clients $5.7 million. Beiard's crimes devastated his clients. Not only did he steal their life savings, but he betrayed their trust. These were his friends, family, and congregation members who trusted him with their life savings. In a letter written by one of his victims and read in court, they said, "Mr. Beiard is the worst of thieves. He has stolen from the elderly, a widow, the blind, his family, and his wife's family. He has stolen from trusted friends." Another victim's statement claimed they had lived in a trailer because there was no money to finish building their home. Other victims were left without money to retire or pay for their children's education. Beiard was stripped of his license and he lost his business. He also damaged his family and his reputation. In a statement read by Beiard in court, he said, "I had everything going for me in life, such high hopes, a beautiful family, and good intentions. Not a day goes by that I haven't wished I could go back and make things right." In December 2013, Beiard tried appealing a sentence, arguing it was unreasonable considering he quickly admitted his guilt. His appeal was not successful. If Aaron Travis Beiard served his entire sentence, he would have been released in 2019. Number 1. Clay Daniels. Clay Daniels lived in Leander, Texas with his wife, Molly, and 2 small children. He was a 24-year-old unemployed auto mechanic. Clay loved motorcycles, and he named his daughter Harley after the motorcycle brand. Molly was a 21-year-old office receptionist for a home remodeling company. In 2004, Clay was arrested for sexually assaulting his 7-year-old cousin. The assault occurred in 1996, but she came forward 8 years later. Clay was sentenced to 30 days in prison and 10 years of probation. Knowing he'd have to serve jail time and have his name on the registered sex offenders list, Clay hatched a scheme that would hopefully solve his problems. On June 18, 2004, 3 days before his sentence was to start, Clay's Chevrolet Cavalier was found at the bottom of a ravine. At first glance, it looked like Clay drove off the cliff and his car caught fire. The car was destroyed by fire, and new remains of the car were burnt beyond recognition. The police who examined the scene claimed it was one of the worst car fires they had ever seen. One officer said it was burned up where I could even tell what color the vehicle used to be. The wheels were melted, the tires were gone, and the person inside, just 12 pounds of ashy stump remained. I didn't see a head, both legs were gone. The police traced the car back to Clay Daniels. When they contacted Molly, she mentioned that Clay drove the car to his mother's home, but he had never returned. His family members identified Clay by personal artifacts left in the car. Members of the community reached out to the newly widowed mother of two. Friends and family dropped off groceries for Molly, while strangers gave her money. A neighbor offered childcare at a reduced rate. Molly even posted signs near community mailboxes that read, "Newly widowed mother of two needs help." She was the beneficiary of Clay's $110,000 life insurance plan. But the 21-year-old widow moved on quickly, almost too quickly. Co-workers thought it was strange that Molly came back to work so soon and how quickly she settled back into her normal routine. Family members were aghast when they found out that Molly was dating a new man a month after Clay's death. According to Molly, this new man, Jake Gregg, was a friend of Clay's. But Molly's friends and family thought it was odd because they had never met Jake before Clay's death. She told them that Jake was a trucker and he spent most of the time on the road. Meanwhile, authorities investigating the wreck noticed some unusual things about the accident. Investigators didn't find any skid marks leading to the crash. In most cases, unless someone is purposely trying to drive off the road, skid marks indicate that they tried to stop. Likewise, there were no dents in the car typically seen in crashes. Also, the gas tank was undisturbed, which was extremely odd considering the car caught fire. Another problem was that the brush leading down to the wreck wasn't destroyed. It looked like someone had pushed the car down the hill. For these reasons, the police thought that the crash looked suspicious. Their hunch was that Clay Daniels was murdered, then his dead body was placed in the car, it was pushed down the hillside, and then set on fire. Clark Dickenscheit, a private investigator for the insurance company, also thought that the crash seemed odd. He also suspected homicide. In a possible murder case, investigators looked for suspects. Clay Daniels was not a popular guy. In fact, at his memorial service, Clay's best friend called him an asshole. Molly's mother considered Clay a loser and not fit to be a father. "I got the worst feeling from him," Molly's sister Melissa said in an interview with NBC. "I just did not trust him. I didn't like him. He just flat out gave me the heebie-jeebies." The father of the girl Clay assaulted admitted that he wanted Clay to go away. An autopsy was performed on the remains. Again, odd things were found. For example, there was no smoke in the lungs. The police tested the hip bone for DNA. The DNA had to be tested against maternal DNA, so they got a DNA sample from Clay's mother. While the samples were sent for testing, arson specialists examined the car. They noticed the burn marks started on the driver's side, which was unusual. Investigators examined pieces of the car's debris and noticed charcoal lighter fluid. Now, they could prove that the car was deliberately set on fire. 5 months later, the results from the DNA testing came back. The results indicated that the DNA did not belong to Clay Daniels. Around this time, suspicious activity surrounded Molly Daniels. When her sister visited, she noticed a man sleeping in Molly's closet. Molly's sister took her to the room to show her, but the man wasn't there. The man was Clay Daniels, who was hiding in the closet while Molly's sister was there. Molly had made a lot of noise when she returned to the bedroom with her sister. This caused Clay to wake up, and he climbed under the bed before they returned. Investigators turned their sights on Molly. Even the private investigator who interviewed Molly noticed it was strange that she showed no emotion when she was interviewed. According to Dickenshite, I had never in my career interviewed a wife who had lost a husband in such a manner, or even anything close to it, and showed absolutely no emotion. So they kept surveillance on Molly. In December 2004, officers followed her into a Taco Bell where she was eating her lunch with a dark-haired man. When the police approached the couple, they noticed the dark-haired man looked strikingly similar to Clay Daniels. The man denied he was Clay Daniels and offered a piece of ID with the name Jake Gregg. The police didn't believe him and they arrested him. When questioned by the police, Clay quickly admitted he was lying. He had tried disguising himself by only dyeing his hair black. Clay admitted to faking his death and hiding out for months to avoid jail and being put on the registered sex offenders list. He had been playing the charade for months, even lying to his son the whole time. When pressed on the identity of the body in the car, Clay refused to talk to the police. However, he quickly opened up to fellow inmates about it. Clay told fellow inmates that he dug up a grave and placed the body in the car. The police used the information to search cemeteries close to the wreck. When they searched one cemetery, they noticed a tampered gravesite. The gravesite belonged to 81-year-old Charlotte Davis, a mentally disabled woman who died in 2003. Investigators examined the gravesite only to find an empty coffin. Forensic experts tested Charlotte Davis's DNA with the remains from the crash. The match was positive. For obvious reasons, the police suspected Molly was involved with the scheme the entire time. They confiscated Molly's computer to examine the hard drive as part of their investigation. The police hoped to find incriminating evidence, but they knew the information could have been overridden. However, investigators lucked out as Molly's computer contained a keystroke virus that recorded everything. When they examined the recorded data, they discovered search phrases such as cremation and how to fake a death. Police then got a warrant to search Molly's house. When they searched her house, they found charcoal lighter fluid. They compared it to the charcoal fluid in the debris from the car, and it was a match. Molly Daniels finally confessed. She said she wanted to keep her family together. She felt that the criminal justice system railroaded Clay. Molly felt that Clay was incapable of the sexual assault he was accused of. She wanted him to be a stay-at-home dad without the limitations of probation and being a sex offender. If he was on the list, they couldn't live near his school, and Clay couldn't drop off his kids at school. This would dramatically alter their lives. That's when they came up with faking Clay's death to start a new life. Molly scoured obituaries for potential bodies. She picked the older woman, figuring she didn't have a family that would miss her. Clay dug out the body, placed it in the car, pushed it over the hillside, and then set the vehicle on fire. Afterward, he drove off on his motorcycle that he had hidden behind a bush. Molly stayed home the entire time. Molly pleaded guilty to insurance fraud and hindering her husband's apprehension. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison. In January 2006, Clay Daniels pleaded guilty to insurance fraud, arson, and desecration of a corpse. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison, plus another 20 years was added for the sexual assault. Molly's family took custody of the couple's children. Molly served 12 years and was released from prison in 2016. 42-year-old Clay Daniels is currently serving his sentence at the Daniel Webster Wallace Unit in Colorado City, Texas. He was last denied parole in March 2021. He can apply for parole again in March 2024. Investigators who arrested the Daniels put Charlotte Davis back into the ground. Now they hoped she could rest in peace. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Please don't forget to check out our new channel, Paranormally Listed. There's a link on the screen now, and there's a link in the description box below this video. Well, that's all for today. Thanks again for watching.